Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we have another thread discussion video with some dev replies, and it's called Development Priorities. So I received the link to this thread from a user on my Discord. Thank you. It looks very interesting, so we are going to go over it in this video, and I'm going to link this down below as well if you want to read it all for yourself. I don't think we're going to get through all 6 pages, but we're going to get through as much as we can. But I skimmed through a little bit. It looks kind of good, so we're going to see what they're talking about. So this user, by my little skim through, he's stating stuff that kind of is, should be a priority to fix in the game, and also some problems in the game and stuff of that nature. And then we have some dev replies to him and more stuff along the way. So we're going to go over all of that and see how it goes, see what I agree on, see what I don't agree on, and we'll go from there. So without further ado, let's do it. So while Bannerlord may be moving in the right direction, I think many participants on these forums, including some of the staunchest defenders of the game, have at times been worried about the pace of progress. Those expecting acceleration post refactor will have been somewhat disappointed. As someone who moved to the sidelines of Bannerlord a while back, I still peek into these forums for updates from the regulars. You know who you are, to gauge how much has changed. I'm not expecting significant additions of content. CK3 style core systems, tail world style non-aggression packs, defense alliances, military alliances, etc. would all be nice, but I recognize that they would be brand new features in a game that is still knee deep in early access fixes. Okay, fair enough. What I do expect, and I think many others as well, is much faster iterations by the developers on tasks that are both quick to deploy and honestly blindly obvious issues with current game's meta. To their credit, several of the game's developers do pay active attention to these forums. The sole purpose of this thread is to provide a recap of what are, in my view, the simple, easy to implement, high impact changes that should constitute part of the patch cycle sooner rather than later. Okay, so he's pretty much gonna give us a couple of things he thinks that need fixing, and maybe I'm guessing he's gonna pretty much state how he would fix it. So let's do it. So number 1, archers dominate too easily. By that statement, I do agree. I think if you have a lot of archers, you'll win a significant amount of battles than if you didn't have any archers. And also, whenever you're fighting versus AI with archers, you play kind of more defensively. Like personally, I play a little bit more defensively because I know I'm going to lose more units if I play a little bit too aggressive. So this has been an obvious flaw in the game's combat meta since the very start. Masked archers or crossbowmen trivially decimate any army and remove the joy of mastering combined arms warfare. I'm not going to lie to you, they do, but it is so satisfying just mowing down the whole army with archers. I don't know, it might just be me, and it never gets old for some reason. It might just be me though, but I do understand his point. It doesn't matter what faction you pick, even if it's a faction with poor range, say Sturgens, you still get excellent results bringing 80% archers. That is true. Total War's best franchises all rely on finding effective ways to balance infantry, range, cavalry, and very applicable artillery. Bannerlord's battle meta really ought to strive for that depth. And you know what else they need to strive for? I want artillery. I want artillery. I want ballista on wheels. I want stuff of that nature. Okay, listen. It's probably not going to be in the game. Maybe in an expansion, who knows what they're going to do in the future, right? But if a mod creator, once the modding tools comes out, wants to make an artillery class, listen, it would be very appreciated. I think that would be huge in my opinion. Now, his suggestion on how to fix this. Reduce damage of bows and crossbows significantly, iterating in increments of 10% nerf. With each damage nerf, increase the ammunition of range units. I can't. Commensurately, I can't read, I'm sorry, so that your archers can still put out the exact same amount of damage in protracted battles as now, only they will need someone, infantry, to tie up incoming forces. Okay, so he's pretty much saying that, reduce the damage but give more ammo, pretty much. This will also make positioning, repositioning relevant. Your archers need an angle from which to fire into enemy troops when the infantry lines crash into each other. Okay. Um, Another thing that a player suggested a while back, we had like a damage kind of like a player went inside the code, looked at all how the damage of blunt, pierce, and all that works, right? And there's a real big problem when it comes to armor right now. Pretty much, armor is just like really a number. It doesn't really have any significant impacts on a lot of things. Um, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen the video, but it has to do with a lot with armor. Why ranged are so overpowered, and also yeah, their what would you call it? Their damage is very, 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 very high. So yeah, I don't know exactly how you would fix it. In my opinion, I think it would be a very hard fix. You would obviously have to change the armor types of a lot of units, make it so some very strong infantry arrows do nothing to them, so they can pretty much counter an army full of archers or something like that of that nature, right? And obviously archers will counter weak infantry, but very strong, very heavily armored infantry or very heavily armored horsemen. They don't take at all any damage from archers. I think that would be kind of a good fix, but then again, that might be overpowered because then you're going to need people to take care of those heavy infantry, and it's just a cycle and cycle. It's going to take a while, is pretty much what I'm saying, to make something happen in this regard. 2. Faction troops need more flavor. Okay, this issue is somewhat relative to the previous one, with range being so dominant in Bannerlord's combat meta. There is often little need for much, if any, infantry or cavalry. Assuming we address the domination of archers, the game could still benefit from a substantial different. Oh, it's a lot of big words, man. It's late. It's like 4 a.m. I'm sorry. From a substantial differentiation in each faction's strength and weaknesses. From a replayability perspective, I would ideally want to be telling myself this playthrough is Sturgeon. My infantry corps is going to demolish things, but my range firepower will be lackluster. This other playthrough is Vlandian. Cycle charging with cavalry will be instrumental to victory. In general, I'd favor more extremism of each faction's strength and weaknesses, paired with meaningful morale penalties for too much mixing and matching of troops across cultures. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he plays a lot of, what do you call it? What's that game that people have been telling me to play, but I don't really enjoy it. I don't enjoy it, I just haven't really got into it. It's a Warhammer, right? In Warhammer, certain units counter certain other units, and other units counter certain units, right? And it's very extreme in like stuff of that nature, right? Like some certain units can completely decimate a different type of unit, regardless if like they got bigger numbers or small numbers or stuff of that nature. But yeah, it's excuse me, sorry, that was probably loud. But yeah, I think that's where he's coming from. No, I don't want to do a notification. Okay. So, suggestion. This is really down to the developer vision for each faction's represents, and this may differ from my understanding. I say this because I think of Battanians as the archer faction. Oh yeah, before I do read this, the whole meaningful morale penalties to mixing and matching troops across cultures. It would be kind of hard to give a penalty because one of the, I would say, kind of big changes we've gotten, I'd say like about 2 months ago, was the fact that armies, they still prioritize on getting their culture unit, right? Or their culture army units, but they will also get other units as well whenever they're at war from neutral towns of their allies. Not neutral towns of that. From neutral towns or from ally towns, right? So that's kind of why if you were to give like a morale penalty, then a lot of AI armies that might, automatically just grab a lot of troops all of a sudden, they might take a huge dive in morale, and then, that could cause a lot of in-game problems as well. But let's keep reading. So I think Battanians as an archer faction, okay, but the absence of any non-noble ranged option actually means that Battanians often have the least ranged firepower in any engagement. And I guess I'd say the Original vision for faction key strengths was Vlandians equals lance cavalry, Sturgians equals two-handed shock infantry, Battanians longbow, Khazate horse archers, Azrai mounted skirmishers, Empire shielded heavy infantry. Do I agree with that completely? Just about, yeah. Vlandians, I would say, is crossbow more than the lance cavalry. And other than that, pretty accurate. Whether the vision was take the relevant units from each faction, dial up their skill point allocation and gear to 11. If need be, dial down the skill allocation and gear of the faction's weaknesses. Oh my goodness. For balance purposes, if you can make it possible to achieve heroic victories with very different combined arms ratios by playing to the strengths of each faction, you have just improved the game's replayability sixfold. If you make it possible to achieve. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because, you know, people who do want to play kind of like different playthroughs each time, if each different, let's say, empire you chose to play as, or not empires, each different kingdom you chose to play as, if they all had very significantly different game styles and pretty much, you know, gameplay, the replayability would be there. I get what he's saying. Again, very hard changes and would require a lot from it, right? And it's like, out of all of these, when you really think about it, the only one that stands out is very dynamic and very, very different gameplay than all the other kingdoms is the Khazates with the horse archers. I think they stand out like tremendously. You know what I mean? More than all these other ones, really. The Battanians, yeah, they have their kind of moments with the longbows, right? But I would say Khazate horse archers, in terms of like specific units to a kingdom, they're like the most like dominant and kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, represent the Khazates kind of like in a way that makes it very unique than any other any other kingdom, if that kind of makes sense. But alright, number 3, the smithing money printer needs to stop. Okay, so they have stated that they know about this problem. I think they have an overhaul in the works. When that's going to come out, no clue. But they obviously have been aware of this for a long time. It hasn't been kind of their priority right now because, in a way, let me tell you something. In a way, you don't have to do it. There's nothing in the game that forces you to start smithing. You can play the whole game without smithing. So if you don't like the feature, you don't have to technically use it. I know that's not an excuse for them not to fix it. It's just the fact that if it was like a priority, if it was like a thing you had to do to get past a certain part of the game, then yes, they would have to fix it. It would become a priority because then it would just break the game every time you play. But since it's not technically since it's not technically a thing you have to do in the game, it's not a priority. That's why they haven't fixed it yet. And like you stated before up here, they are fixing a lot of early access, performance issues and stuff right now. But obviously when they're done with all that, they are going to address this problem more in depth and obviously probably give it an overhaul. All right, let's see what he has to say. The option to smith javelins worth more than a town's annual income is nonsense and makes a mockery of the game's economy. I understand the devs want gear to exist as a money sink for the player. I personally think this is a mistake as it is responsible for one of the game's most fundamental cognitive dissonance. Man, my guy's really using out here the whole dictionary. I see you. Wait, I'm still in rags, but this troop I have leveled on looters is now in heavy plate armor worth hundreds of thousands, and he's working for 12 dinars a day. Okay then. If they insist on gatekeeping high-level gear behind exorbitant prices, then some sort of a fix for player-crafted gear is required to ensure it cannot be used to trivialize the game's money management aspects. Building up a few prosperity, caravans, trading, doing quests, war spoils, and tributaries, so many aspects of the game are negatively affected by the existence of such a powerful, immersive breaking shortcut to wealth. I do agree in a way. Personally, I don't do any quests. I think in terms of like what you get from quests, it's never really worth to even do. Unless you want to obviously try out the quest. You know what I mean? If you want to kind of, do like a role play type of gameplay, yeah, then you'll do the quest. But in terms of efficiency, it's not worth it. Trading, also meh. You know what I mean? Like, kind of the best things to really do is fight, make some workshops, make some caravans, take some fiefs, you know? But I do get what he's saying. But like I said before, you don't need to do it. But like you know what I mean? If that kind of makes sense. This will be such a, this will be a huge problem. Like, it's already a huge problem, right? But this would be like a double huge problem if this was like a required thing to do in the game, if that kind of makes sense. So here's a suggestion. Implement some affix system for player crafted gear to ensure it is only as profitable at top end as any of Bannerlord's other roads to riches. Or more simply, from a balance perspective, make it never be profitable at all, but instead boost the damage potential of master crafted weaponry significantly. Those in pursuit of the most powerful personal characters should still eagerly explore smithing for that edge in battle. I don't agree making it not profitable at all. Again, hard. Obviously, the price needs to get nerfed completely, because obviously some of the stuff that you can make at a very basic plans for smithing can make you a lot of money, right? Especially for javelins. Like in my javelin, not my javelin video, in my smithing video, I went over that you only need like a level 2 handle and a level, no, it was like a level 3 handle and a level 2 spearhead, and you can make a javelin's worth like 11,000, and you can get both those pieces very early on. So yeah, the price has to go significantly down. And I don't know if they would ever, they probably wouldn't, but I don't know if they would ever do like an economy that's, because obviously we have an economy right now where if you sell to a, let's say if you sell food, right? Or if you sell something that's in a lot of bulk, the more you sell, the less the town's willing to give per item. I'm wondering if, let's say you were to craft hundreds of javelins, right? Put them all across the map. Would over time, would the price of javelins go down because there's so much javelins all over the map? I was wondering, like for high-end items, if you, let's say you craft a lot of high-end items, over time would that go down? Or even, let's say if towns just started getting more high-end items, like more high-end armors in all their shops, would the price of that armor go down over time? As of right now, I don't think they do, but I think that's something that might be worth looking into. But again, I don't know code-wise how hard that would be to implement. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, the last one. The Khazaits are OP. Yes, that is correct. I don't even want to read this. You know what I mean? I don't even want to read this. Listen, I love my Khazaits. It is what it is. But okay, let's read this. So the Khazaits have spent the entire early access being far too powerful for reasons that are well known. A strong geographical position with their back to the map edge, so their economy rarely gets raided. 20% cavalry auto-calc bonus, choosing their engagements because of the mounted ratios per cultural bonus. I won't belabor this point as it's really flogging a dead horse. As I understand it, Mexico has already acknowledged this issue, and it's one's looking at... Okay, so he has read that thread that Mexico has made. So yeah, obviously the two main problems right now is the 20% cavalry bonus. We have talked about it in a different video where a player suggested that keep the 20% cavalry bonus in battles, but pretty much during sieges make it a negative. So make the Khazaits very strong in battle, but very bad in sieges. That was one of the suggestions. And also a thing that makes them super powerful is their cultural bonus. I think out of every other cultural bonus in the game, there's far and beyond. The movement speed on the entire map is crazy. You know, getting from one place to the other, you know what I mean, a significant percent faster than everybody else is a very big advantage in my opinion. So suggestion, I think ongoing tests by Mexico were showing that Khazaits are still decent, as in still conquering stuff and never getting deleted from the map. With 20% cavalry buff and their cultural speed buff removed, it would take even more to push the Khazaits into... I don't think this should happen. If anything, I think you should maybe lower this 15, 20%. I mean 15, 10%. I wouldn't remove their speed buff from the culture. I think the appropriate response in this term. I know it's never a good response to just change everything except the one thing that's strong. But I think in this situation, I think that a lot of work needs to be done for the what do you call it? The cultural bonuses for all the other kingdoms. I think they need to be looked at. I think they need to be reworked because I think that Kazay one, if you really think about it in theory, it's not supposed to be that overpowered, but it is because all the other culture bonuses are pretty bad. You know, if those were a little bit more ramped up, then I think it would be kind of fair, but every playthrough I do, I don't have a reason to pick any other culture. Maybe the Azurai because of their trade bonus, but yeah, you know, yeah. The movement speed is so much more important. Okay, so what else do you say? Evidence shows the cavalry auto calc bonus was counterproductive to campaign balance, so for now, take it out and delete their culture speed buff, replace with horse-related culture buff, like minus 20% cost for all horse purchases, even that would probably be more valuable than the Azurai caravan trait. Nah. I don't agree. I kind of agreed with all the other suggestions, but I don't agree with this one. I don't think since they're very powerful to just completely nerf them down completely. You know what I mean? Just since these are the two good things going for them, just completely remove them. I don't know if that's the wave, right? But I think you could put this down 15, 10%, you know what I mean? Something around there. And for the speed, I don't think that should be touched. I think that all the other, what would you call it? What is it? All the other culture bonuses should be kind of buffed. Because they have speed that goes throughout the whole map. And what do Sturgians have? Speed that only goes on snow? Like, who... Sturgians get played. Listen, I don't know who came up with that. I'm not trying to point any fingers, but it's like, oh man, how are you gonna make somebody faster on the whole entire map, but then make another kingdom only fast on like a small part of the map? And obviously, I know that there's seasons, and eventually the snow goes down, but like, come on now. You can tell that those two aren't balanced because they're just, you know. I understand. I'm pretty sure the Sturgian buff is a little bit faster, but if you're talking about, you know, the places you have to travel to, the constant speed boost throughout the whole map is way better than the increased speed boost on part of the map, if that kind of makes sense. But alright, boys, this video got kind of very long. I'm going to make a part 2. We have some dev replies. I am going to make a part 2 because this video is going over 20 minutes and I don't want to keep videos too long. Hopefully, you know, you enjoyed, you know, the content. Let me know what you guys think about these. Let me know what you guys think about my solutions, his solutions, all of that in between. And ask me any questions, any concerns, and like always, stay safe.